This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.
My name is Kiani Mills, and this podcast is created to help you see, feel, and experience the human side of business. I'm a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a parent. And like many who have travelled this path before me, I've been through the lows of the lows and the gut-wrenching pain. But I've been through the triumphs and the wins and the indescribable highs, all of which I consider to be my lessons in the school of life. On this show, we are going to start some conversations to ignite new world ideas into some very old age businesses. So if you're a leader, a business mind, or an entrepreneur, get ready to think, act, and feel differently so that we can all reach a new level of business success together. So, what are you waiting for?
Hi gang, and welcome to this week's episode of She Can Humanize Business. I thought I would mix things up a little bit this week. No guests, no hearing from me, but I would like to go back through the archive and pay tribute to some of our most renowned answers to the question, what does humanizing business mean to you? Now, I feel this is really important because while there really is a general theme to the answer of these questions, each question is so unique. I have not heard the same question or the same answer twice. But I feel that's a really cool thing. That shows to me that the guests are of a broad and varying variety. But to me, it also means that that simple question of what does humanizing business mean to you can be interpreted in so many different ways. So the purpose of this week's episode is to give you some insights and to recap from the vault what were the best answers to our questions of what does humanizing business mean to you.
Mr. Cute Blackson, as I do with all of my guests that come on, can you please share with us what does humanizing business mean to you?
I think it's really what the question is. It's really in the statement. It's really in that topic, that title, acknowledging the human, acknowledging, dare I say, the soul in the human. In business, because business is made up of a collection of human beings, and without humans there is no business, and there's no business if humans aren't connected to themselves, if humans are not happy. And the happier humans are, the more honored humans are, the more business will thrive. And so I think it's really seeing the essence, seeing the heart, bringing more compassion, more loving, more kindness, more humanity, more realness, more authenticity into the business environment, that we're not just robots and machines, and business is not just, even a business itself isn't just this entity that is a shell corporation. Even a business structure itself is an energy, is a pattern of energy, and that pattern of energy is made up by the energy of the people. And so I think to acknowledge the people and acknowledge heart, love, compassion is what humanizing business is about.
Susan Dean, welcome, Susan. The question that I ask everybody is, what does humanizing business mean to you?
What I think it is we are all unique human beings, and that we all bring something, whether that brings something to the business, as in you're a staff or an employee, whether it be something that you as an individual bring to the world. We're all human, we're all unique. We all bring something. And what I think is that when we allow the humans around us to bring their best self, we get to experience that. We get to embrace that, and we get to see where they've got something to share that we could benefit from if we just were in that present space. So I think it's just about understanding that we're all unique and we've all got something to bring to life, to the world, to business, to, you know, to everything. So I think it's just, yeah, if that's the long-winded kind of thing that came out, but that's from the heart.
Cam Fraser, what does humanizing business mean to you?
Well, for me personally, in the business that I run, humanizing business means acknowledging, and I think you mentioned this before, the human elements of business. And so specifically for my business as a sexologist, as a sex coach, that's acknowledging pleasure and sensuality and eroticism and sexual energy as a encompassing word for kind of all of that. You know, it includes arousal and boundaries and anything to do with our sexual expression. So I really try and acknowledge those human elements of me personally as the face of my business, but also for my audience, people that I'll never necessarily meet one-to-one, but who I know are kind of out there engaging with my work. And then also for my clients and people that I meet at, you know, in-person events and things like that. How can I really celebrate, recognize, and acknowledge their humanness with regards to sexuality, eroticism, pleasure, arousal, consent, and boundaries? I think all of that is maybe not necessarily, I don't want to project here, but maybe not necessarily encouraged in a lot of mainstream business spaces to think or even talk about that. It's a bit of an HR nightmare, I would suggest. So so the sexology, sex coaching, sexuality professional space for me is like a real beautiful opportunity to acknowledge those areas and to humanize business in that way.
Maritza, thank you very much for being here. What does humanizing business mean to you?
Oh, okay. I love that question because I could actually get teary thinking about it, because I've really empowered myself over the last couple of years to step into this version of myself where I can bring my whole world together, still do all the things that I love to do, but run and create a business off the back of that. And I suppose, you know, letting go of fears has been a big thing, and stepping into uncertain and unknown environments and just allowing things to happen naturally as well. So that's what it means to me. And I could actually go on about that forever, but it's such a good topic that you have created off the basis of this podcast. It's important.
And I love that so much.
Travis Cochrane on the show, who is also known as the technician. What does humanizing business mean to you?
I love that question. And I felt into it before. And for me, humanizing business, for me in particular, how do I feel waking up in the morning? Because as you said, business is life, life is business, molding the two between the two. I feel like people get into business and then they don't even know how to live their own life. They actually just somehow create a life of chaos where this
and
thing,
stress.
They've wanted to create freedom for themselves, but if anything, they've created less freedom by saying that this is the word I keep, or this line I hate to hear, I have to work hard to make it work. Like, bro, do you? Yeah. Do you really? And
can you hear yourself right now?
Don't get me wrong. Like, I've worked my ass off to get to here. Although now it's pretty easy. Yeah. In regards to what I've come through, you know.
But it's because you make it easy.
100%. And
if you want to look at the shit, it's going to be really hard. But if you want to look at the blessings and look at the way that things can be done, it doesn't have to be.
1,000%. And I know for me in particular, with my business being a coach, podcaster, online brand, all those things, I am the human. I am the human that brings in the business. Yeah. So for me to work on myself, that's the most important aspect for me, because that will be energetically reflected in everything I do.
It starts and stops with you.
Yeah.
You'd be selfish not to.
Like, look at what's happened today, right? I could have walked in here to this beautiful place.
We are so lucky
Shout
to be
out
here.
to Havana House.
Yeah.
House. And I've walked in and met Chloe, the owner, and Cam.
Yeah.
And just straight away.
How was the energy in here? Holy crap.
Us four was it was a vibe.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
I could have walked in, if I hadn't done the work to become the person I am today, energetically, physically, all the things, right? I might have walked in and they wouldn't give me the time of day, and vice versa.
Or you might have walked in with nerves and anxiety and apprehension and like, oh my God, I've got to talk on this.
Will they like me?
I've got to talk on this amazing podcast. What are they going to think of me?
I'm sweating and shit. But I just walked in so carefree, so loving.
And straight into a big giant hug.
Yeah. And I love that I got a hug from Cam at the end there too.
I know.
I could tell he was that type of guy.
Yeah.
So it's just, these are the things, right? I think people forget, I know people forget sometimes that the human experience within business is super important, because the human you are is what you'll see within your business too.
Matt Runnels from Mindful Oz, thank you for joining me today. Give us your little spiel on what does humanizing business mean to you?
Yeah, and I don't think it's too much of an extravagant answer. I think humanizing business for me is exactly what's enabled me to do what I do, and that's everything with the heart. It's the fundamental, the key fundamentals of what a human being is wired for. We're all wired for love, belonging, connection, contribution, and variety. But the only thing the human wants is to be loved, seen, heard, and valued. So I guess when I think about humanizing business, I think about that. I think about everything that I do is led by the heart, and everything's led by the essentials of making sure that everybody in my business and outside of my business and those that I work with, everything's done from a place that provides love, belong, connection, but it also helps people to feel loved, seen, heard, and got. And I think if we start thinking more with our hearts and less with our heads, it's where we find success.
I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. And how incredible are some of those answers. So I like to pose you the same question. And whether you're driving or walking or listening in the office, whatever it might be, I would like to ask you, what does humanizing business mean to you? And if your answer is not similar to one of the answers that you've heard previously, I'd love to hear from you. Please send me through, whether it's through social media or through LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook, all the ways to contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Please send me through your answer. What does humanizing business mean to you? Because in the world that I live in, the more answers to this question we have, the broader the options that I have for future guests. Potentially you might be a future guest. So please share with me. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for tuning in once again to this week's episode of She Can Humanize Business.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I would love to hear your feedback around what resonated and what key lessons and learnings that you took out of today's episode. You can find me on Instagram and on LinkedIn under the She Can Humanize Business podcast or Kiani Mills. I really hope that you were able to see, feel, and experience a new way of humanizing business.